Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show. I'm your host for the evening, the One-Ton Hammer. I have with me, as always, my favorite two guests and hosts in the world, Terry D. Maddox.
Hello.
And the wonderful Jen T. Maxey.
Hello.
I don't know about you guys.
Say happy birthday to your mom, too.
I should say happy birthday right away.
Okay.
Happy birthday,
And to anybody
Mom.
else that might have a birthday, because we never really talk about that stuff here.
No, that's true. Mom was 94 on Monday. So, yeah, I don't think I'll make it that far. Although my grandfather on her side made it to 103 before he had a stroke. So we're long-lived on that side of the family, but I think my brother is going to get that, or maybe my sister, but I'm not going to be. I'm going to be on my dad's side. Everyone there died early. So I don't think I'm going to make it that far. But God bless her. She's awesome. She doesn't need me here at all. She's takes care of herself, and it's amazing at that age. Yeah, she can't really see very well. She can't hear very well, but she can see and hear well enough that she can take care of her day. You know, get up in the morning, take a shower, do all the things that you would normally do. She's quite capable, so.
That doesn't mean she doesn't still need you, though.
Well,
she needs you for other things.
Little things, like the shoes that she wears, the sneakers that she wears are black, and where she usually hangs out in the living room, the carpet is very dark. It's like a dark brown, and dark brown on black. It's hard for her to make the difference there. So I usually get called, and where are my sneakers at? I'm right in front of you, Mom. So, and I notice that when she's doing something, like every once in a while, she'll do the dishes before I get a chance to get to them. I spend a lot of time here taking care of her, even though I really don't have to be. It's just that she's getting up in years, so I want to spend some time. So I notice that when she does the dishes, if she decides to clear the dishes, when she puts them away, she doesn't look at where she's putting them. She feels for where she's putting them. You notice little things like that where you realize, oh, she can't see where she's going, kind of deal. So, But, all things being considered, my dad made it to 87, and she's at 94. So she's the oldest of four women on her side of the family. And she's the only one left. So yeah, she's a tank. She's awesome. Want to say hi to chat. I keep forgetting to do that at the beginning of the show. I used to be really good at it, but I'm not doing as well as I used to. Assassin of the Gray, tall person who I haven't seen in a while. Tall person, it's good to see you again. JB, our girl Keyword Name is out there. Seneca stopped by. Mike R, Sir and Amantine. Hello everybody. OG Costin. Hey Camel.
Mr. Yes. Yeah, Mr. Adamantine.
I'm scrolling down. Yeah, Mr. Yes is there. Welcome everybody. The list of topics tonight, which we may or may not get to, I'm actually going to make that a bit, whether or not we get to the topics in this show. I always post these in the title without descriptions. Woke Night. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Marvel is moving forward with their television shows, and their next foray is Moon Knight, who personally, with some exceptions, was my favorite Marvel character other than Iron Man. And I used to, Moon Knight news, I gotta go down and get blah, blah. I was really crazy about that. I thought he was the coolest character. Kind of a combination of Daredevil and Iron Man, without the tin suit kind of deal.
His special ability, flashing his ass.
His special ability was being super when he invoked the Moon Knight personality. An Egyptian god. So yeah, he was mysterious, and he was cool, and he had a great outfit, and I just loved him. Anyway, they have Oscar Isaac is the actor who will portray him, and he is woke garbage. So nice. We'll have to discuss that. Ben complaining. It's everybody's, in my opinion, everybody's first response to being banned is to scream at the world about it. And even when I was given 12 hours of rest time on Twitter at one point, I immediately wanted to get on Getter and every platform. I show up on other people's channels, and you did this. But I've gotten to the point where I feel like we've known that this stuff is coming for long enough That complaining about it is just kind of stupid. So we'll get into the whole topic of ban complaining and who's been banned today. And then finally...
Well, I know Babylon B and Sydney Watson both got banned from various things.
Exactly. And finally, the last topic we have, we probably won't get to. It's just kind of an in-joke. My body hates food. It's very weird. So I'm limited, extremely limited to the things I can eat without having some kind of adverse effect. And I got to admit, I'm as human as the next person. There are times where something is just, you get frustrated and you say, look, I don't care what's going to happen. I want bubble gum, and I'm just going to chew bubble gum and then screw it, and
that was my dad's attitude.
Yeah, I certainly get to that point. So we can talk about toxic foods, and I don't know if you guys have any that you have to deal with, but it's something on my mind anyway.
I mean, like I said, my dad, because he was on dialysis, there was a long list of foods he wasn't supposed to eat. He's just like, fuck it, I want tomatoes, I'm going to eat fucking tomatoes.
Well, there's things I better not eat, and there are things that I shouldn't eat, and they're not always the same thing. So, and I've certainly been told this is the list of things you should not touch, and I have systematically gone through those and tried all of those things and found out that I can handle some of them. So when someone says this is a diet for you, I'm like, well, that's a good suggestion. I'll take it up.
Yeah. No, that was my dad was of the mind, look, I know my body better than you do. I'll take your dietary advice as just that advice, but I'm gonna eat what I want, basically.
So we'll see if we actually get a chance to dive into that topic. But the thing that's bothered me most is our first topic, and if you guys have something you want to bring up, I'm certainly game, and that includes chat. Welcome, Green Badger Outdoors. If you guys have something in chat that's on your mind and you want to have us discuss, feel free to.
I'm only gonna side note because Green is my buddy, but I hope you're feeling better, Green.
Oh, what happened?
He had some he had a hospital visit last week.
Oh, that sucks. Been there, done that.
He got his freedom, but I think he's not able to play his games at the moment.
He's gotten his freedom. Burst out of the hotel room. His leather jacket adorned with the United States flag or Canada flag.
You got to understand they were shit with him during his hospital stay. Like he went 3 days where they weren't regularly giving him food or water.
What?
Because of like he was.
No, that's called prison. That's not called hospital.
Yeah. So when I say he got his freedom back, it was more of just like, oh, he finally got food and to go home, and his poor mom. But yeah, there were a couple days where like it was just him pulling teeth just to get ice cubes.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I've certainly gotten into situations like that while in the hospital. They see my healthcare is all done by one group. You've probably heard of some of the American health groups like Kaiser Permanente, Geisinger. There's a whole list of big care facilities in the States, and once they get your medical information, it's shared amongst everybody. So anybody who is a doctor knows all about you before they even walk into your room, if they even walk into your room. Unfortunately, they know that and I say this with some trepidation, that I am diabetic. The reason I'm trepidatious about it is because I was diabetic. And I have all of the problems that a diabetic would have, but I'm no longer diabetic, which people think that's not possible. But it is kind of, because my diabetes was weight onset. I was a very heavy person at one time, and I'm much trimmer now. And with that, my symptoms of diabetes, the sugar level specifically, has gone away. I test myself every day. And my sugar level, while a little on the high side for normal, is still not considered a diabetic number. My number is usually around anywhere between 90 and 100. And, most people are around 80 to 90. So it's a little high. But if you were to just walk in and say, take my blood, it's 95, they wouldn't say that you were diabetic. They would say you're pre-diabetic or maybe just a little high and not even pay attention to it. So at this point, I no longer have the problem of continuing issues with diabetes. I take no diabetes medication. I haven't had to take anything in years, literally. I used to be on metformin until they found out metformin kills you. So they moved me over to injections, and I haven't, like I said, I haven't had an injection in at least 2 years to keep my blood sugar at the appropriate level. So I consider myself somewhat cured, but all the things that I got during the time that I was diabetic have remained. Of course, you can't reverse amputations. That's not going to happen. And then, things like numb hands and eyesight problems and things like that are permanent, even though that I don't have the sugar issues I used to have. So they see that D next to my name, and they immediately assume that I'm in the throes of severe diabetes. And I have to tell them, no. I can have regular food. There are some things I have to watch in my diet, but the first thing they want to do is put me on a low carb, low sugar, low everything diet. So I'm basically eating cardboard. And I'm not going to allow, I literally get out of the bed and walk to the door and yell down the hallway, "You're not going to give me this crap. Get me a doctor here. I want my food changed." And I get of all the things that I get angry about in the hospital, that's usually the first thing that happens. The first thing they do is they put me on the wrong diet. I'm like, give me a hamburger with some cheese and some ketchup and I'm good. Don't give me this, flat bread with no taste and diet mayonnaise, and I can't have any soda. All I can have is water. Are you kidding me? Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I had to deal with in his, I'm sure he's dealing with the same kind of things where you deal with doctors who just, decide what they're going to do to you, and you have to live with it. And I'm not that person.
I don't think it's that. I think it was just that there wasn't there was a lack of communication between their nurses and his doctor.
That happens too. Yeah.
But to be fair, towards the end of his visit, when they finally realized that, he should have food, and they had kind of stretched him out for so long, he managed to get them
food.
He managed to get them to make him a BLT, even though it wasn't really on their list of foods, just because he was like, "Well, you have bacon for breakfast. Can't you just make me a BLT? I mean, you starved me for 3 days." And so they did.
See, I don't think the doctors would allow me to have a BLT. They wouldn't let me to have any meat, and they wouldn't let me to have any bread. So I can have lettuce. Lettuce and tomato. And I think you're only allowed to have one slice of tomato because tomatoes are high in potassium. And my diet included low potassium. So I wasn't allowed to have bananas or tomatoes or potatoes. Or
when my dad was in hospital, basically sort of, he'd stopped the dialysis and he was like, okay, he's ready to die. He would have me smuggle tomatoes and bananas and chocolates because they had high potassium and he was trying to accelerate things. And it was like, I don't need to smuggle them. I can just bring them in openly. The nurses know. It's not a secret why you're here.
It's no problem for me in my bed to call up someplace like a pizza place and they'll deliver to the hospital.
Yeah, it was just funny because I think he liked the idea that he was getting away with something. It's it's not a secret. They know that you've got chocolates in your drawers because when you entered the hospital, you told them what you were there for. They know that you're there to die. They're not going to deny you a banana.
The hospital wants to control you, just like most of the things on the planet. They want to control you. The first thing you do is they put an IV in your arm when you're in the hospital because they don't want you getting out of bed. They want you in this place and to stay where you are and not move. And then they control your diet. And then they control the information. So especially if you are older, they will talk to your younger daughter or son about your health and not talk to you. They try to control you in that way too. I've seen it happen all the time. When I go in with my mom for some kind of ailment that she has, they'll talk to me. I'm looking at them like, why are you talking to me? Talk to her. This is her problem, not my problem. I'm just here to help her. I'm not her advocate. I don't have, what do they call that when you can make this power of attorney? I don't have power of attorney over you. Tell her what the problem is. And they kind of seem stunned.
Well,
they
maybe
look at me
they
with
tried, but she was too deaf.
Well, she is deaf, but I tell them that. Just speak a little louder. She can hear you. So, anyway, enough about my medical journey. I'm sure he has tales of his own. Hello, Cannibal Wizard. Welcome to chat. And JB, we have a lively chat tonight. That's wonderful. I love you guys. And like I said, if anybody in chat has anything they want to bring up that for us to talk about, feel free to say something. I'm sure Jen and Terry will catch it long before I do. Do you want to talk about Marvel?
Sure.
I love Marvel. They are my favorite movies. They really are. I mean, I like The Matrix and all that kind of stuff, and that was a great thing. And me talking about movies is right down my bailiwick. You know, I'm a movie guy. I think everyone knows that ad nauseum at this point. But yeah, I was really looking forward to Moon Knight. When I first heard the Marvel franchise was taking off, I was like, oh, I wonder if they're going to do Moon Knight somewhere down the line. It was just a fantasy. I was like, nah, they'll do Iron Man and Captain America, and that'll be the end of it. Who would have thought? You know, oh, they're going to do the Avengers? Really? Oh, they're going to do this? And Spider-Man too? It's just, you know, a really fun time for the movie side of my personality. So when I heard, you know, Phase 4 and I saw Moon Knight, I was like, get out of here. Get at it. They're going to actually, that's awesome. And I had very high hopes. I looked forward to it more than just about anything else when I heard about it. And then... And then woke culture stepped in. And they hired Oscar Isaac as the lead.
Call him Oscar the Grouch.
He does look like. Have you seen him, Jen? He does. He looks like Oscar the Grouch. He does. He really does. He's got like a flat face and a beard, and they put out a trailer for Moon Knight, and it really wasn't a trailer. It was just like they took a scene that they were filming, and they prettied it up and said, "This is like the first part that we filmed at this point for the show, for the TV show," and it was basically a fight scene with him and some chick, some person of color. I didn't quite catch who it was or how they pertained to him, but the entire thing was her kicking ass and him following her around. Helplessly, frantically crying like a little boy. That's not the guy in the comic book. Not just the superhero part, but the regular guy is a sophisticate. He's not a you know, an everyday man who's easily, you know, frightened by the sound of a cat meow, like this guy apparently is. So the scene, I wish I had it, but of course, if I tried to broadcast it, they'd kick us off the air for it anyway.
Oh, very quickly, very quickly.
I'm part of the Star Trek stream on Saturday with Blind Press, Dr. Functional, and Skep Tock, who's a host on the show. And I wanted to. They were talking about the new Picard show, and I wanted to show them a beauty pass of the new Stargazer. And no matter what I did, just sitting there uploading it to my personal channel, the One Ton Hammer channel, which has no content. Yeah. But I was just uploading it unlisted there. And no matter what I did to that beauty pass, it's like 7 seconds long. No matter what I did to that, it was stopped every time. Every single time. I changed the location on the screen. I shrunk it, put stuff around it. I put bars through it. I put intermittent stops in it. No matter what I did, every single time it was stopped. I couldn't do it. I was like, I just gave up. Fuck it. I don't care.
It's the thing I remember about Star Trek is apparently Stacey Abrams got put in it recently, which is just funny.
Well, I mean, I saw that. Everyone knows and hates. Well, everyone knows Star Trek Discovery. I mean, there's a reason why we call it STD. It is a socially transmitted disease. So I completely disown STD. I don't want anything to do with it. We don't talk about it on the show. On the Star Trek stream, we don't talk about it. It is not considered anything as a viable Star Trek show. The Orville is much more of a Star Trek show than Discovery will ever be. So I don't deal with it at all. But so when I heard that she was on there, I was like, of course they would have her on there. Apparently she's a big Star Trek fan, and I disown that. Yeah. There are people who are Star Trek fans that I want to have nothing to do with. Steve Shives, etc.
Yeah.
But
understandable.
But so yeah, I was like, you know, what is this crap? When I saw the scene that they showed, this is not the guy. So they did a little interview with him, and they asked him about California's bill for the anti-pedo bill that they're doing in was HB 1556 or something like that. I forget what the number is. Chat, you can straighten me out on the number. You probably know more than I do about it. But it's an anti-pedo bill. It's basically saying you cannot groom children until they're old enough to be groomed, whatever that number is. They're saying I guess it's through fourth grade or something like that, which is like 7 years old.
I heard third grade, but
third grade and fourth grade, something around that number.
Somewhere in that region.
It's basically don't show your penis to little girls before they're at least 6 or 7 years old. That's the whole idea behind the bill.
That's a pretty creepy idea that 6 or 7. Okay, now you can show your penis to the child.
Yeah,
that's pretty gross.
It's basically sexual indoctrination, talking about sex and stuff like that. And that's what the bill's about. But of course, the what do you want to? I was going to call them advocates.
The woke crowd.
The woke crowd. See, there's the woke crowd, and then there's the people who use it as a weapon. So I don't have a problem with people who are woke, like I don't know, the average California resident who lives in a Democratic area. We'll say the DeFrancos of the world, so you get an idea of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit more of an advocate. I'm talking about the people who will get together and hold protests in front of free speech places. Those people are more than just the average woke crowd who's brainwashed.
Yeah.
These people are pushing the agenda and intentionally harming free discourse. Those are the people that I'm concerned about. In any case, this bill is, of course, they're calling it the don't say gay bill, in case you want to know what I'm talking about. Let me answer Mr. Yes real quick. Hammer, do you watch Picard, Lower Deck, and Star Trek Prodigy? I do watch, and to this point, I've been able to watch Picard. There is some stuff in there that bothers me, but not to the point where I can't watch it. I can still advocate it. I will say that I enjoyed the first was it 10 episodes? The first I'll just say the first year. I enjoyed the first year. I enjoyed the first 3 episodes of this year, but I'm a little concerned about the 3rd episode. There's something. I got a little feeling of woke there. I'm a little, but I'm going to hold my opinion and continue to watch it through the rest of the year. So yes, I have seen Picard. I have not seen Lower Deck. I'm not into cartoons. I've been able to watch Archer as a animated series. I'll say it that way, but things like Lower Decks are just straight up cartoons. I don't have anything to do with it. Prodigy. I don't really know anything about Prodigy. You guys know about Star Trek Prodigy? I'm a Star Trek fan, but I don't know about Prodigy. I heard that.
I know very little about Star Trek, I'm afraid.
Yeah, there's another Star Trek coming out. I think Prodigy. One of them is there's a Star Trek coming out that's animated, but it's not like Lower Decks. It's more like Archer. It's more of an adult one, and it has Janeway in it, the lady captain. Hello, Skep Tock. And I haven't seen any of that. The only thing I've watched is Picard. And I can say to you guys, at least watch the first year. You shouldn't have. It is not TNG. And if you want to hear more about it, we broadcast every Saturday at 5:00 on Blind Press's channel, the Star Trek stream. Stop by and say hello.
But I do like the character Q from Next Generation.
He's in Picard now.
Okay.
And they de-aged him.
Okay, I've only seen like 3 episodes of Star Trek, and they were all from the Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Q is like awesome. I like that guy.
Yeah. For those who don't know who Q is John Delancey, a really solid actor he's been in the industry for 30 years, and he plays a Loki-esque character. If you're into the Marvel franchise and you've dealt with the Loki there, he's a little bit more mischievous than our Loki as far as the Marvel people go, but but he is a very mischievous character, and he has a very interesting take on that perspective in Star Trek. So, but to get back to Oscar and the note set in the "Don't Say Gay" bill, he, when asked about it, his response was gay, 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 gay. That was his response. Same thing Mark Hamill did. In other words, it was
So it was a 5-year-old.
Yeah, he's right, exactly. Right. But his point of view was that, like the woke crowd, he did not investigate what this bill really said. He just responded in the hive mind of the left, like everyone on the left is the hive mind of, the same as every other person in the hive mind. Is that, well, this is a "Don't Say Gay" bill. He didn't think to look. Does it really say "Don't Say Gay"? No, it doesn't say anything about that. But he just said, oh, this is the "Don't Say Gay" bill. Therefore, I will go against it immediately because I'm going to virtue signal. Gay,
like
gay. Yeah. Somehow it makes me feel better. So between the clip that I saw, which looks really, really, really stupid, and knowing that the guy that they put in place to play the lead character is an idiot, I don't see any reason why I should make any attempt to watch this. It really hurts my heart because I was so ready to watch this show. I was so on. I was like, oh my God, my favorite guy is going to be in a TV show. I'll have a reason to actually watch broadcast TV again.
No.
But apparently not. So I am brokenhearted.
Eric Delay would be proud of you because he's been trying to tell people you need to stop supporting this stuff. The people who make it, they hate you. Stop giving them money. So yeah, if you're refusing to watch because of the wokeness, I think he'd be quite pleased that someone is, doing what he considers the right course of action to, let these companies just sink from lack of viewership.
They will. They have, and they're going to continue to do so. Assassin says, Prodigy, a group of alien children find and steal a Starfleet vessel, and everyone is okay with it. Okay. Well, I could see why I haven't really looked into it, because if that's anywhere near the truth, then... And this is... Was Prodigy animated, or is that... I know nothing about it. I really know nothing about it. But I really don't want to watch a bunch of little kids driving a starship around. That doesn't sound remotely Star Trek-y to me.
Only thing I know about Prodigy is that the guy was the fire starter.
Assassin's on fire tonight. I hated Q. He was a cheap ripoff of Trelane. Trelane was from the original series, and he was arguably also a Q. So that was there's been a lot of debate about whether Trelane was halfway through the first season. They came up with the Squire of Gothos was the name of the episode, and he kind of played a Q-like character. So there's been some debate there. I think Trelane was a Q, but some people say otherwise. But I think we've talked enough about Marvel and Star Trek. We need to get something that Jen could talk about because she hasn't said a word.
No.
We still love you, Jen. We do.
I just don't really follow the Marvel stuff. I
haven't. I had a feeling that after we started talking, you weren't saying anything, that we're talking on a topic that you probably didn't know too much about. So.
Yeah, I also got distracted by Twitter.
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I'm getting distracted by chat. I'm having a hard time talking about the things we have listed without, because Assassin's on fire. Anyway, Spudgun says Star Trek Discovery is basically there are only 8 seasons of Scrubs. Oh man, where are you guys getting all this stuff? Prodigy is 3D animated. 3D animated, so it was like the remake of The Lion King, like 3D animation. Oh man, no, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff going on up here. So my city had a couple of like protest eruptions, which were kind of funny because our the anti protesters are about, and they're all Antifa. All of them are Antifa. And our police are not liking them at all because they're absolutely taking them down. They're like, yeah, you're fucking around a lot. Because they don't know the difference between the two of us, to be honest, and they don't really give a shit. So it's kind of like if you're fucking around, they're kind of taking you down. So the lefties up here, like, hey, the cops are on the CPC side. I'm like, you mean they're doing their job? I mean, I do think there's been a couple times where I've called out the cops for what I thought was them taking it too far. Because I have seen them do a couple things to the other side where I was like, because I stand by that. I do stand by their right to protest as long as they're peaceful about it.
I thought you were standing by their right to beat on people. I've seen cops beat on people, and I stand behind that. I'm like, wait a minute.
If you were a protester and I can see you on camera visually attacking another person, then I don't give a shit if the cops take you down because you started a fight.
Sure.
But there's been a couple times where I was on the side of the anti-protesters because they weren't doing anything and the cops were instigating.
Most of the times the protesters weren't doing anything. Did you see the Matt Kristen video today?
I don't know if it's the same stuff because there's stuff going on in my city that has nothing to do with Ottawa.
Well, did you see his video today? Matt Christensen did a video today. Did you see it?
No, I
don't. He was
I
talking about how the protesters were being blamed for arson. Because that guy said that the protesters came into his building and tried to burn it down. I forget the name of the building. It was like the Inquisitor or some stupid pretentious name like that.
Yeah.
So this guy, Miguel something or other, I didn't catch all the details. I was half listening and half doing something else. But the protesters were being blamed for arson on this building. And it turns out that the guy who saw them, got the video footage and all that kind of stuff, is anti-protester, and that these guys were not involved in any way, shape, or form with the protesters. Yet they were being blamed in Parliament by people in Parliament, even though they had nothing to do with it. And once the narrative is served, there's no way to go back and say, oh, all of those people in the Parliament who said that the protesters were doing this, those people were all wrong. So all you people who are all wrong, put your hand up now and tell everybody how you were idiots because you were wrong. That doesn't happen now. It's too late for that. But during the time where it happened...
that's literally why I'm saying these are two different situations, because you're talking about two different cities.
Yeah, but...
the one that I'm talking about happened this week. The one you're talking about happened last month.
Right.
The one that happened this week had a group of Antifa members tackling an elderly couple, and the cops roughed them up. And I was like, yes, that's what they should do. They were instigating. They attacked somebody. But on the same day, there was also an image of their side just standing there. They were just talking like the other side. They weren't instigating, and the cops were just pushing them aside. And the way they went about it was the exact same thing I saw in Ottawa. So it's where I stand. It's like, if you're sitting there just peacefully protesting, I don't give a shit what side you're on. I think you have the right to do that. If you're tackling an elderly couple, I'm going to cheer on the cops who tackled you for it. I don't give a shit what side you're on. That's where I stand. That's what happened. Up here, it's been kind of hit and miss. So I haven't gone to any of the protests, even though I keep missing them. They don't protest. They don't want to put anything anywhere because the cops are not happy about it. Either way, they're not happy. But our guys aren't letting up because our provincial elections are coming up, and the other thing that's happened recently is our Liberal Party has merged with our NDP party because they know that Justin can't make it on his own. And so I think that's going to backlash in their face because NDP doesn't really like Justin any more than they like CPC.
With all the things that have been done, does he stand a chance anymore? Is he still viable?
Without everyone propping him up, no. with everyone propping him up, he could cheat the system again. So I don't know if he gets in again. I swear to God, it's a cheat. There is no other way that he got in. That is a Russian move. Because his NDP buddy has lost 2/3 of his party because he keeps backing Justin. Like, they're like, listen, dude, you have similar views. We're still willing to back you if you're not like Justin. And he just sided with, like, it was basically a marriage between two parties, which I don't even know how they got away with that. Yeah, I'm talking about that, JB. It's unbelievable what's going on up here. And the mask mandate, apparently it lifted. A lot of people are still holding onto their masks. I'd say half of everybody's being really kind, and the other half have lost their mind. So there are people with masks who don't give a shit if you don't have one on, and there are people with masks who cannot stand that you don't have one on. And the people who have the masks on who are like, oh, everybody without a mask is bullying us. That's not true. What's happening is people are keeping a list of locations where they knew that they were abused by staff members. And they're like, I don't want to shop there anymore. We're waiting for all of the mandates to lift so that we can go back to the shops that we used to go to before, who didn't treat us like shit.
Right.
I had a lady, no joke, give me the finger cross move at Costco. I had a lady under her breath be like, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. I had another lady look like she was going to shove me off the train. And I was like, try me, bitch. I can lift a vacuum over my head now. So I can still push you. But I also had a group of Quebecois guys help me get onto the train platform because my train wasn't going to open the door to me because I didn't have my mask on. And 4 of them didn't have theirs on, and the other 4 did. And they were like, fuck you, you're going to open the door because there's now 9 of us here.
I'm really stunned that masks are still an issue in Canada.
Right?
It's completely gone here in the United States. I haven't seen anybody wearing a mask in real life in a month.
The delivery people down here still wear them. I don't know if it's by choice or by mandate, but when the people deliver me my meals, a lot of them are still wearing masks.
Yeah, nobody from DoorDash, nobody from Ship, nobody delivering to me, local pizza places and stuff like that. Nobody wears a mask. Whenever I do decide to go into town and actually shop for myself, I'll walk through the grocery store, not a mask in sight. None of the cashiers, nobody.
Well, once they admitted that they didn't do anything, that should have been the end of it worldwide. It should have been like, oh, well, forget it then.
Well, for the first month of it, I kind of thought maybe it was just people being lazy because up here I could see some people using it as like a face warmer. I wouldn't.
There is that.
Because I think they're disgusting. Like, I mean, if you do that for a face warmer, I kind of suspect you're kind of gross because the way they work is that it's your own breath that heats them up.
Yeah.
So the moisture from your breath basically is absorbed by your mask. And I've said this before, like, I don't know what it's like in Australia. I know that some places in the US is similar enough to Canada that you know what I mean. But in winter, we have this thing called a nose drip.
Yep.
Because it gets cold.
Yep.
And then even after the nose drip, there's allergy season. So the nose drip doesn't really go away. It just comes in a different form.
People have been wearing regular scarves for a long time, especially in cold winter. If you look at California, or not California, Chicago, where not only is it, ice cold in the winter there, but obviously the Windy City, and they get plenty of snowfall. You'll see people walking around with scars over their face. The deal is, as soon as they get indoors, they take it off.
Not only scars, but MAGA hats.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, it's the thing with the nose strip is like I just can't think of how you can get away with that and not be seen doing something. I've never once seen another person on the train at any time deal with it. I've sat there on my own having to lift my mask so I can try to like dab at my nose, because if you don't, you get like rashes on your nose, you get rashes on your face, you break out and shit. Because like you're sitting there for like at least 20 to 30 minutes after you've come in. So like there's no time to really get rid of that. I can't think, like, are you like rubbing your face into it? And basically all my friends have told me what they do is they move their mask and then they rub their face onto their sleeve. So you're telling me that this is the more healthy route? I'm sorry.
It's certainly a more disgusting route.
It absolutely is. So I refuse to put it on. I'm like, I would rather admit to the fact that, yeah, I have nasal problems that I'd like to deal with so that I can keep myself clean than wear that shit.
I'm religious about my nose hygiene. You know, if my nose even itches a little bit, I'm, toilet paper if I'm near the bathroom because it's the softest paper, or being a big guy with very large lungs and a lot of force, I have a tendency, if I'm not careful, to blow right through toilet paper. So I'll use paper towels instead on most often, and I'll just rip one in half and go that way. But I blow my nose. I must have blown my nose 4 or 5 times today already. It's just I could not stand having a nose that has anything in it. I just can't do that.
That's just how I am. Like I can't stand not dealing with my nose when I have to deal with it. And allergy pills are a hit and miss. Like for the most part, they do work, but it's kind of the time of season where it's thawing and then it's freezing, and then it's thawing and then it's freezing. Like we haven't quite hit spring yet. So that dust is kind of random every year. So I have no idea what my nose is going to do. So I could take something and it might work and it might not. And sometimes all it really does is it just really massively dries out my nose. So I'm like, all I'm going to get from these masks is probably a nosebleed. I haven't worn one long enough to experience one, but I don't doubt that if I had to wear one for 8 hours, even if I switched out the mask, I guarantee you I would probably end up with a nosebleed or a tendency towards nosebleeds. But yeah, I just don't understand that part of it. I do feel for people in like a doctor's office because they're still required to, even though I kind of get that one a little bit more.
Yeah,
that one at least makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah. No, if I do anything in the medical side, like if I go into a doctor or something like that, and I have to take a mask with me, that's fine.
And if that was the case, I wouldn't mind. Like if the system wanted to spend a little bit more money on getting those nurses better masks, so they have something that works a little bit more efficiently, I would actually be okay with that. But that's not how they work up here. Everyone's still using the cheap blue ones, like the shit ones, that don't do fuck all, that they've been told don't do fuck all.
Are those the surgical masks that you're talking about?
Yeah, the throwaway ones, the blue throwaway ones.
Those are surgical masks. They're not the worst thing. The things that are the worst thing are the cloth masks that you make yourself. Those are the ones that don't do anything. The surgical masks do, but they don't really stop COVID. But to be honest with you, I don't really know what they do. Just to make sure I don't get taken off the air or anything like that. I really don't know what those masks do. But if you're going to wear a mask, my hospital makes you wear that blue one. Yeah. They don't make you wear an N95.
Yeah, see up here, when they decided that the N95 was the way to go, they basically told everybody that they were going to have to switch over. And then when they decided that, oh, well, we're going to lift the mandates, everyone went back to the blue mask. So it's just like I said, it's one of those things where they changed the rules up here. But conveniently, a lot of people don't. They're like, well, I still got a mask on, so I'm still following the rules.
Yeah. Austin says, in a medical setting, I don't mind a mask. And I think, I don't have a problem if it's in a medical setting because
it makes sense.
We know whatever, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. I think it's silly. Unless you're operating on somebody, I think it's pretty silly. But getting COVID at this point, according at least to Dr. Campbell, getting COVID is going to happen no matter what you do. So mask, no mask, it doesn't matter. You're going to get COVID.
Well, it's not just that. Like if the mask actually worked in a doctor's setting, it would make sense to protect you from everything else too.
Mm.
Like if you're say back in the day when you had to sit in a doctor's office for 3 hours if you're at a walk-in, I can understand wearing a mask because there were times where I was surrounded by people who all had different things, you know. So maybe in that sense that would work. But
you never
if they
know what
never
somebody
thought,
else has. They could have Ebola from a.
right? But I mean, if the masks worked like that in the first place, well, then why haven't we tried that before?
Yeah.
I
remember when I was a kid. I remember doctors coming into my bedroom, into my room when I was a kid wearing masks. So it's not like they haven't done this before. Doctors have been doing the mask thing on and off for a long time. So it's nothing new. To make sure that it's done every time now, what are you going to do? Not go to the doctor?
That's what I do. No, I don't go to the doctor.
Well, if you never get sick, it's viable. But for people like me, I have to go. I don't have a choice. When was the last time you went to the doctor, Jen?
I had so I went to an eye appointment, so not really a doctor. My last doctor's appointment was I think it's September of last year. So not like long ago, but pretty long ago.
It's been about 5 years for me.
I'm supposed to go this week. I have a nephrologist who's very concerned about my blood chemistry. So she keeps sending nurses out to draw my blood, and then they publish the results, and then she has me come in like a week or two later to talk about, we need to do this to your blood, we need to do that to your blood. So hopefully this last blood draw was like, well, we don't need to change anything, you're good, have a good day, bye-bye. I'm hoping. Anyway, I got to step out for a second. I'll be back in 2 seconds. You guys can talk whatever you want.
Okay.
So, be right back.
So, what? Yeah, I guess I'll let people know Gunsky has cancelled Clippers United yet again. Wednesday so night, there will be no stream this coming up Sunday for you guys, Monday for me. I've told you many times, do not interrupt me during this. Sorry to disappoint, but yes, that has been cancelled yet again.
Is school getting to him?
You seem to think the fucking.
I'm guessing that's what it is. He's working on his thesis for university,
so fucking important.
I would imagine that
for the one
he's
fucking
doing
hour on
the same thing. That's the same reason he's got to cancel this week.
Yeah, it's kind of that time of year.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I do enjoy those streams, but I would say that him passing university is probably a smidge more important than giving me something to do for a couple of hours on a Monday morning. So I can understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you guys will live. He'll be back anyway.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got to give him a hard time too. Make sure he actually passes. You know, if he cancels and then he doesn't pass, well, that's an epic double fail, right?
Yeah.
No pressure, Jack.
Yeah, it'll be weird because Frosted is canceling the corner as well because I don't know if he said the reason. He's probably got like real life friends coming over or something. But yeah, it's going to be no corner and then also no quippers. So it's going to be a very odd weekend for me. There's going to be all this time that I've got to find a way to fill.
And not a lot of things coming out, really. Like I haven't really seen a lot of interesting games necessarily, or like things to watch.
Well, I don't watch anything except YouTube.
But yeah, that's just it. Like I find a lot of people have kind of taken a pause. I know there's side quests, but I don't know that they do weekends. And then I don't even know if you watch that.
No. Apparently Hannah forgot to mute. But I don't know how we could possibly let him know that. I presume he's off doing whatever he's doing.
No, I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently you weren't muted because people were saying...
it's funny how that works with StreamYard. There's a mute button here. If I click mute button, the rest of the people can hear me, but you guys... Muted. Yeah, you guys couldn't hear me. But StreamYard... No. But OBS still can.
Huh.
Weird.
But yeah, apparently somebody really likes my car. We've been dealing with this. I should probably tell you guys what this is all about. There's somebody who apparently really likes my car, who keeps stopping by and parking in front of my house and getting out and walking all the way down our driveway just to look at my car. It's
That's
not for
weird.
sale. It's not for sale. And I've had to go out there several times now and tell this person to get the fuck off my property.
Yeah.
And it's really starting to get me very angry because it's getting to the point now. I mean, I have them on video. I have cameras all over my fucking house. So this whole thing has gotten to be too far. Pretty soon it's going to be police and all that kind of stuff. I feel like I'm going to have police showing up while I'm broadcasting.
You could be the next Tim Pool.
Apparently, I don't know what the deal is, but for some reason they feel, and I've tried to get an explanation. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll leave. And then a week later, he's on my fucking property again. What the hell's wrong with you? Oh, it's just a really nice car. Are you sure it's not for sale? No, it's not fucking for sale. Get off my goddamn property.
That's psycho.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I'm sorry I have to apologize for everybody for losing my shit, but this guy has got me wound, in case you haven't noticed.
You're not Canadian. You don't have to apologize.
And I'm already a little bit animated tonight anyway, and this guy just drove me over the fucking edge. So
well, it would. I mean,
understandable.
you're doing shit, and here he is bothering you about something that you've already said no to.
Anyway, I'll put that
I'm
aside.
like that too. If I have to tell you no more than 3 times, and I'm already being nice after 2.
Yeah, this has been 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
What were you
ya.
guys talking about before I jumped back in?
I was just letting people know that Gunsky has cancelled Clippers United for this week as well.
Oh,
so,
no. Oh, no.
Yeah, so there's going to be no corner and no Clippers. It's going to be a strange weekend. I'm going to have a lot of time to fill.
I will eventually set up StreamYards so that my voice comes through StreamYards into OBS. Right now, it comes into StreamYards and dies there, so you guys can hear me. And OBS picks up a separate feed and goes out through the stream there. So it's a little wonky the way it is right now, but it works with the music, so 6 of one, half dozen the other. I'll get it straight at some point because it is a pain to try to mute in both places.
Yeah.
Especially since I don't have a mute button on my...
Step away for a second.
Okay. But anyway... So you mentioned earlier, I was talking earlier about it too, the whole thing with about being banned on platforms. Because like I said, I had my 12 hour, not a ban, but I got, what do they call it for 12 hours? Kind of like a slap on the wrist, right? You're not really banned.
Yeah.
You're just put in timeout like a child, like Whoopi Goldberg.
I've had that happen to me a few times, yeah.
Have you been put in timeout?
On Twitter, yes.
Really? I didn't know that. I thought you were one of the few amongst us who was still a virgin.
No, I said the word that rhymes with bigger that I best not state.
Yeah, I get that point.
And
we use the word jogger
now. I guess someone reported it because the whole thing was Frosted had an article about polite racism. And I was making fun of the concept by saying, "Excuse me, Mr. Bigger, could you be a deer and put your head in that noose?" And like the whole point was that
that'll do it.
polite racism does not exist. There is no such thing.
Right.
And that's the point I was making. But I guess someone reported it because I said a naughty word. And I think it was 12 hours.
Yep. That's actually pretty tame for what you said. Mine was against his Twitter handle Steel Gray. I can't remember the guy's name. It's not Andy No, but it is
Ian Miles Chung.
Ian Miles Chung. That's the guy. It's funny how people on the right, which as I understand, he's supposed to be on the right, isn't he?
He's one of those reformed leftists.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be on the right now, but it turns out that there's a lot of people on the right who I fucking hate that guy.
Oh yeah, I can't stand him.
And I've gotten to the point where I don't like him either because he was talking about wearing 2 masks or 3 masks, and I said, why not just put a whole diaper across your face? And he reported me for self-harm. That putting a diaper
What?
across your face, yeah, you putting a diaper across your face would cause you to suffocate. And I was advocating for suffocating, and I got banned for 12 hours for it.
That's retarded.
I know.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Sorry. I had many coffees. I've had one of those days where for some reason, even though I had enough sleep, it wasn't exactly a hard work day.
Mhm.
It's like, bleh.
We're talking
I'm good
about
to keep going though.
we're
Yep.
talking about being Twitter virgins. Have you been timed out or banned?
Never.
You're still a virgin.
Never been. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I got once for 12 hours. How many times have you been slapped on the wrist, Terry? Just once?
Maybe 2 or 3 times. I can't remember the story behind the other ones. The polite racism is the one that stuck in my mind because I was 100% innocent. I was not being hateful. I was actually mocking the idea that you could be hateful and polite simultaneously. So that one stuck in my mind because
So you're
I felt
banned on the Sargon premise that you can't say it even if you're advocating against it.
yeah, effectively, that's what I was in trouble for. There's other times when I thought, yeah, you know what, I probably shouldn't have said that, but I can't remember the details of those stories. It's because if I don't feel like aggrieved by it, then it's like, okay, yeah, whatever. I mean, I probably deserve that.
Yeah. So you've never been smacked, Jen, but I have. Terry has, and there's this phenomenon with, and it's a natural reaction. I've done it myself. I mentioned at the beginning of the show tonight, is that when you're banned or whatever, I'll just use the word banned, even though that doesn't always apply. I'll just use that word. When you're banned, your first reaction is to complain about it. You know, you've been silent. You're silenced. You're offended by. You know, I hate to use that word too, but you're pissed. That you're being told. We're telling you to shut up, and you can't have those thoughts and say those words. How bad you're a bad boy. So a natural reaction is to do the opposite. Is to tell everybody what you said, and tell everybody how unfair it is. And it seems like it's been at least 2 years, maybe even longer, 4 years of this kind of behavior from all of the media platforms: Twitter, YouTube, Patreon. I mean, name your platform that all the leftist platforms, and they're all like that. Say the wrong word, you're out, kind of deal. And so recently, Patreon has decided to start banning people on apparently mostly, if not completely and entirely, on the right for things they're doing off platform.
Yep.
So they went after Sydney Watson, who's a personal favorite of mine. If I was to build my own woman from scratch, I'd probably end up with someone very similar to Sydney Watson. They banned her for something that she said off of Patreon, but they banned her Patreon and returned her money. So at least they did that much. They took her off the platform where she had never posted any content because she said something off platform that they didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that what happened to Sargon? Where they
exactly.
kicked him off?
Exactly. He was on a YouTube channel that was not even his YouTube channel. It was on someone else's YouTube channel, and he was a guest. And what he said was against their rules, so they took him off. But what bothers me about all this is not that Patreon is shit. We know they are shit, and people are still using them for content creators who dare talk about toys. Oh my God. You know, have to worry about being banned from that platform for just talking about toys. Everything works fine there. So when somebody who's in the field that we are, where we're talking about news or controversial subjects, those people get banned, and they react like it's something they did not expect. Like how at this point in your time online, talking about the things that you talk about, did you not expect this?
Well, the other one is actually the shadow banning. Like I've never been banned, but I do suspect that there's been a couple times where I do think I was shadow banned.
Oh, I'll probably guarantee it.
Because there was a time where, because I don't engage on Twitter really, but I share videos. Like I will share my friends' videos and I will share anything that I think might be informative, or as a means to at least bring other people in for the conversation.
And you also share this show.
I absolutely do. It's also just a matter of whether or not I catch something. If I catch it, I post it. But there was a time where I was posting Wexit videos because I was hosting some. It was my thing where I was trying to get an idea of what they were actually talking about. And so I wanted the honesty, and I didn't want the media interference. I wanted to hear it straight out, regardless of whether or not I agreed with them or not. And I know that Twitter was like, you ain't posting that.
I mean, I got shadow banned for retweeting Skep Tock because Skep Tock was shadow banned. Skep Tock was shadow banned, and because I was retweeting a shadow banned person, they shadow banned me because they don't want his tweets getting out. So if you retweet it, they have to shadow ban you too. Otherwise, people will see your retweet. So yeah, that was about a week, maybe two weeks. I was shadow banned.
I expected to get kicked off of Twitter in the last couple of days because I've said some stuff on Twitter that I thought it was going to get me kicked off, but it hasn't happened yet. So I assume I squeaked by, or at least no one said anything. I'm sure somewhere down the line, a year from now, I'll get plastered for it. But at the moment, I did a whole thing on trans women in sports. And,
oh dear!
And yeah, I know. If you want to get kicked off of Twitter, that's a good way to do it. So, but I didn't actually tweet. What I posted was an image of me replying. So it was it was graphical instead of being actual text, so they couldn't parse it. So that's how you got to know how to play the game sometimes.
Yeah, that was you talking to Claudia, wasn't it?
Yeah, my favorite girl, Claudia. Well, one of my favorite girls. I don't want to get Keeper, Dan, or Jen angry with me, but yes, one of my.
I got lots of guys who think I'm their favorite girl. It's okay if you want to share me with others or share others with me.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what did I? Let me see if I can
I side ask Terry a question?
No,
because he's a fellow colony member, and I now work at a store that forces lots of British foods on me. But have you ever had mushy peas?
Don't think so.
No?
I don't.
Okay, good, because they come in cans, which means I can pass them off to you.
Oh, okay. It's one of my favorite things that happened with this whole getting banned off platforms was the Babylon Bee put a thing on Instagram saying that Taliban spokesperson finally kicked off Twitter for retweeting the Babylon Bee.
That's funny. I need to let me read to you the end of. I can say this on YouTube because YouTube won't get pissed about this. I couldn't say this on Twitter, but I'll repeat. I'll talk to you. I'll just give you the last two small paragraphs, only a couple sentences, of what I posted on Twitter. And this is the topic is trans women in sports. We differentiate most sports by sex, and I see no reason to differentiate all of them or none of them. Obliterate women's tennis, the WNBA, women's soccer, and MMA, and watch those sports cease to exist for women or have them compete and die trying, literally. What you're doing is relegating women to the kitchen because they have no place on the court, the octagon, the field, or in the pool. But perhaps that's what women really want after all. And I didn't get any response to this. That's what got me about that. I the last two paragraphs are probably. Well, I mean, I didn't get a response from the person who I sent this to.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, which I expected to get something back, but I got nothing back. So, I mean, I made it specifically pointed that way just to see if I would get interaction or not, and I didn't. So
my reply to you was, I think if you transition in either direction, you should have to compete against men.
Yeah, I agree. It's just that the people that I've seen talk about this, and I don't think I've ever talked to the two of you in any depth about this, but I think you kind of agree along the same lines I do. It seems like the people who are pushing for trans women in sports are people who know the least about biology.
They really do. And also, I did talk about that last week with BG because we're both females and we were kind of in depth.
BG's
on
a
it.
female?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Well,
no,
not
no, you're
BG in
talking.
chat. Blind
You're.
girl.
Oh yeah, okay. I was gonna say, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure BG in chat's a guy.
No,
I was
I'm
like,
pretty
wait
sure
a
he is a
minute.
dude. I think
I
he said
understand.
he has like a significant other. But no, we got into
Blind girl.
depth on it.
Yeah.
Because as somebody who has friends who are trans, they've never once told me or presented themselves as actually being biologically female. There's always been the acknowledgement that they're different. You know, I still consider them to be somebody I could have girl talk with, but there are just times where there are things that some people won't understand. Now, when you're talking about the swim team, the first thought in my head on the swim team was how often that trans woman doesn't really get it, because when you're a woman and you are swimming or you're doing any kind of physical activity, there's this little demon that comes along that comes out of nowhere, and it's called a cramp. And while men do experience cramps, it's not exactly the same thing, because it's not from the same body part. Like, it actually doesn't come from the same region. I know it seems like it's in your belly, but it's not. And it doesn't just go away. And when you're in the water, you're stunned. It's kind of something I talked to Cryptic about, because he used to, I don't know that he was actually a trainer of women in the military, but it was something I brought up with him, because that's the thing. Women have cramps. And I was like, so if you're a woman and you're training for the military and you have a cramp, what do? And he said they force them to keep going. Here's the thing, though. They still acknowledge it's a thing. It's a thing. You know, you still have to keep going. So if you're swimming and you're a woman and all of a sudden you have a cramp, you have to keep going. But it does freeze you up. It's like rolling on your ball a little bit. It is. You know, it does hurt enough where you're just like, oh, shit, you know, that is happening. You can't just stop. Oh, you'll drown. You know, if you just stop in the middle of a cramp when you're swimming, that's not a smart idea. But it's going to slow you down.
It's sad.
It's not to discriminate against her. I honestly think that if you are a sportsman and you're switching the teams, it is a little bit in question. Like, why are you really wanting to switch the teams? Like, are you wanting to compete with girls, or are you just wanting to compete?
Because they want to compete against girls.
Yes.
Well, here's a good question from a guy who cannot relate. If you have a cramp due to menstruation, and then you have a cramp in your thigh or something like that, which one hurts worse? Not which lasts longer or any of that kind of, but which one actually hurts worse?
A cramp in the guts will make you feel like you have to vomit. A cramp in your leg just kind of makes you want to cry a little. So it's really more about what kind of reaction you're getting to it. Like it's like so when I've discussed and I'm sorry, I'm going to the male genitalia because it's the only one I can go to. But when I've discussed it with dudes,
by all means,
I don't consider it a kick. I've never once ever considered it to be a kick. But I remember the expression on a kid's face when he legit sat on his balls. We were sitting cross-legged and he just plonked down.
I can relate to that.
And I can remember the look on his face.
I can tell you the look on his face.
Yes.
I've made that look.
And I remember just feeling that cramp. Like that, because he looked like he was going to puke. He looked like he was going to cry. He looked like he was frustrated. He didn't look like he was going to die.
Yeah.
He looked embarrassed, like he didn't want to talk about it.
Damage to the balls will make you literally vomit. I mean, no matter how much of a man you are, if it hurts well enough, your stomach is going to react beyond your ability to stop it. You will vomit. End of story.
That's why I go with the ball pinch as my example, because like that is probably the worst cramp I can ever think of for me was that. Is every cramp like that? No. Some cramps are like, yeah, I can roll over and I'm fine. It's not a ball pinch. But there are some times where it can be that bad. Sometimes it has to do with your diet. Sometimes it has to do with your exercise. Sometimes it could just be your body just decides today's going to be a bitchy cramp. Not every woman gets them the same. Like some women only get them once. Some women get them for off and on for a day. Some women get them multiple times. Like I get them multiple times.
I get them all the time, but obviously not anything to do with menstruation, obviously. But
No.
I get them in my calf, usually when I'm
Yeah,
sleeping.
that's where I get mine.
I get them in
Like
my
like a Charlie horse.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this will take me from sound asleep to standing on my own 2 feet within a second. It's just excruciatingly bad. And then I get cramps in my fingers, where if you hold your finger up and you take your forefinger, middle finger, and you put them together so that they're touching, that's the kind of cramp I get, where they cramp sideways into each other, and I have to literally grab them and pull them apart from each other. That's the kind of cramps I get in my hands. And then I get abdominal cramps in my stomach when I'm putting my special shoes on. I'm amputations, so I have special shoes. So bending over for a long period of time, I have to immediately straighten 100% up and even arch my back, or else it's the same as my leg. It becomes, I don't even know what that reaction is, where you're frantic that you must stop it now kind of deal. So those are the kind of cramps I know of.
Like I knew girls who, when they would get their cramps for at least an hour, they were completely useless. Legit. They were completely useless just because they couldn't move. I don't know if they were exaggerating or drama queens. It's always kind of one of those things where you kind of question, because every woman is different. Everyone has a different thing going on down there. And it's the same with men. You all have different shit going on with your crap too. That's why I wouldn't really self-identify as a man. Not because I don't think I have male characteristics. Like, I like certain sports like archery. I can certainly engage in a conversation with dudes about certain things, but there are just some things that you talk about that I don't quite understand.
Wouldn't it be nice to actually be a man for 5 days of the month?
Yes.
What's coming up? I think I'm going to be a man for 5 days.
I've oftentimes said that to the extremists from the trans community, that if I could rent out my womb to them for 5 days of the month, I would. Let you feel like a woman for a day. And they wouldn't take it. Because why would you?
Yeah.
If you don't have to. I mean, the only reason I put up with it as a female, like the only reason I haven't ripped my shit out, is because maybe someday I change my mind and I want to have babies. I mean, they might be green trolls at this point, but there's still the it's up on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, I've you get in these philosophical discussions. Would you like to be the opposite gender for or opposite sex for a period of time? And my reply is, well, yeah, I wouldn't mind trying being a girl, but it would depend on what time of the month that happened. Because if it's during the menstrual cycle, absolutely not. I don't want to have anything to do with that. I mean, not just the pain that you're going to be in, but the results of the pain and having to take care of yourself during that time period. It's like, I don't want to see that or do that or be anywhere near that. Sorry.
Times in my life where I thought maybe I wanted to be a man were probably times where it was just envy. Like times where I would think, yeah, I know some women are tall, but there's a difference between a tall woman and a tall man.
Mm-hmm.
But there's times where, I'd want to do something where I felt like I just wanted to do it myself. And that thing where you need to ask for help, sometimes that's frustrating. And I think
how
that's
tall
like
are you again?
I'm 5'5".
5'5". All right.
So for the most part, I'm okay.
Yeah, that's a good height for a woman.
But when you work in retail, a lot of things are on the top shelf.
Isn't 5'3" the average for women in the North Americas?
I think so.
5'4".
Americas? 5'4"?
Yeah.
So you're above average.
Yeah, I find a lot of what I want to do requires that I need to be climbing up and down things, or I need to require assistance for it. And it's not that I mind asking for help. It's just sometimes I feel that frustration just as much as a dude. It's not the frustration of I want to be an independent woman. It's I kind of want to get stuff done and I don't really want to wait for another person. And I know what I need to get done, but I can't do it because I'm either a little bit too short or I'm a little bit too weak. And there's that myth thinking of if I was just a dude, I could do it. Because even as a woman, there's only going to be a certain point where I can get that strong. So like I lost 110 pounds. Say I start to lift weights. Mm-hmm. Even if I started doing that now, like with my job, yes, I've increased the amount that I can lift, but there's only going to be a certain amount that I can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe if I'd started early, I would be in a different boat. And I don't want to be She-Hulk either. You know, I'm just saying as somebody who likes to do projects or I like to get my own stuff done.
Well,
I find that part.
I'll never be a horse jockey.
No.
You know, there's some limitations at your size that you're just, it is what it is. So just being tall is not an advantage really either. Oh yeah, I can get stuff off the top line, but I ain't gonna be crossing the whatever, name your horse race. I mean, it's just not gonna happen for me. I'm not tall enough to play basketball, but not short enough to be a horse jockey. I'm like right in the middle of nowhere. And if you get on Twitter, or I almost said Twitch or Twitter, but if you get on, I don't want to actually use the name, but if you get on Hinge or something like that, whatever you want to, whatever dating app you want to use, and you just type in 6'3" and hit enter, you'll get people swiping on you. You don't have to even put a picture up. You just type in 6'3", and that's the requirement for men to be dating nowadays. So it's not like it's a bad thing, but it certainly has its limitation. I can barely fit in my car.
It's also how men deal with things too. Like I think a lot of my admiration for men has to do with how I really enjoy history too. Like how men have gone about inventing things, you know, how they had to go out to hunt things, how you had to grow to be strong. There's something admirable in that too. You know, so I kind of get that journey.
Well, but the thing is, men that don't perform just don't exist functionally. So there's a lot more pressure on men to actually perform than there is on women. So the reason that you see all these things coming from men is because if they don't, you know, put some sort of mark on the world, then no one gives a fuck about them.
I feel that as maybe it's because of my mentality growing up and stuff. I kind of felt that too, like that women should have had more of that pressure to do better. Like the weeping princess everywhere thing is really, it's getting to me a lot. If you know I don't know if you know what I mean by that. Yeah, I can't make the same amount of money as a man, but you got to understand that recently I found out that the trucker community has a huge amount of females in it.
Sure does.
And I learned that the feminist movement are a bunch of big fucking lying bitches, because when you realize that as a female trucker, you are actually running your own business and you're making $200,000 a year if you want to, if you're willing to do the work for it. And they're sitting there like, yeah, women can't own their own businesses. They don't encourage us to take little jobs. They encourage us to be like CEOs, when a CEO is a specific kind of person.
Yeah.
And as a female, that's why I'm frustrated. It's because I think that women could be stronger. Like, we're not going to be in the strong fields that men have. That's just not going to happen right away. Our technology isn't there. Our bodies can't do it necessarily.
I think it's because men are more expendable from an evolutionary point of view. So if they break under the pressure, who cares? It's just a man. Whereas if a woman was under the same pressure and she cracked, then they lost a perfectly good womb that could have continued the species.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it fundamentally comes down to is like men and women have different roles in terms of society because of that.
Blasphemy.
Oh, I know evolution isn't going to happen anytime soon, and I know women aren't going to do those jobs. It's not even. I would like. It's not so much that they be included. It's more of just like if they were included, you know that the technology would have to change for it. You know.
Yeah.
And the fact
there's a reason that it's considered more tragic when women and children are included in casualties.
Yeah.
Like children make sense, but women, it's like, oh shit. A woman died? Oh, like 50 men died, but a woman died? Oh my God. And there's a reason. There's a evolutionary pressure that said men are more expendable because you only need a handful of men to keep the species alive, whereas you need as many women as you can get.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, I understand why it's like that, but I still don't like that.
No, I mean, you don't have to like it, but you can't change it. This is my point.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I can hope for better technology, but yeah, I can't change it.
Gulf City Johnny Blaze is in chat. I said hi to him. He replied with hi, 1 ton ham. Which is not too far off the truth, I guess, when you look at it. Yeah, I mean, that's the you're talking about several arguments. You talk about Jordan Peterson's argument against opportunity versus outcome, and then you're talking about there's a lot of pieces that go into that. Evolution is obviously important. I don't see any reason why a job, regardless of what job it is, if it doesn't require a certain certain physicality, that it should be equally open to any sex. There's only 2 sexes to worry about, so it really wouldn't be that hard for any. It's just that we are pre-programmed. We have a lizard brain. This is biological truth. I'm not, saying anything that's not true by fact and science. That we have lizard brains that point us in one direction or another, and you can overcome that to some extent. But the fact is, even at the smallest levels, a couple years old, that there are differences between male and female. Again, I'm talking Jordan Peterson stuff here, but boys prefer to play with things, women prefer to play with people. It's just it's just built into the lizard brain that we all get. So you certainly could have Elizabeth Holmes, in a real sense, not a lying, cheating person, but an actual successful female businesswoman who's willing to sacrifice everything in her life to be number one. It's just that typically women don't want to do that. There are some guys who just can't. I don't care about your friendship. I don't care about, the fact that my arms are falling off. I want to be number one. And I'm going to do everything I can to be that. There are some people who are just lunatics like that. And they just happen to be guys most often. Because they're not needed for anything else. They don't need to have babies. They just need to be number one,
But it's at both extremes. Like women are more clumped in the middle in terms of like intelligence, success, and all that, where you'll find more men at the low end of the scale, but also at the high end of the scale. There's a lot more
bell curve.
homeless men. There's a lot more male geniuses. It's just the range is a lot broader with men.
Just a tiny bit. So like rather than just like say the dangerous jobs, even just the dirty jobs, like I'd like to see more women try to be like garbage men, because that's not necessarily that's not necessarily right. Yeah. And that bothers me because like is that a job that's entirely impossible for a woman? Like they do recycling. You see women in recycling, so why can't they do garbage? And that bothers me. Like, are they above garbage? Like women in the past, like even the textile industry had to deal with dirty shit. But nowadays, if a woman gets her hands a little bit dirty, oh my God, but we have cleaners and shit, There are some times where the feminists don't point that kind of shit out. And that's why I don't believe them. I don't necessarily know about rat catching because I've heard that one complained a lot. I don't know how dangerous that one is, but if it was okay for women, okay, as long as you're not stealing. I hate stealing jobs. I'm just saying the point, like you get my point.
Yeah. Well, again, we're basically agreeing with me saying species survival hinges on protecting the offspring and birth givers. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And again, we're talking Jordan Peterson again, because this all falls down to his bricklayers point that he makes on all of his things, that if you want to have an equal number of women at the top, then you must also want to have equal women at the bottom. 99% of all bricklayers are men. Are we going to optimize that so it's 50-50? And if not, why not?
Right, like
because women don't want that job. They want
they don't.
to be CEOs.
Right.
And that's like that's actually where I actually backtrack, because that's not entirely true. I think it's more of just they never offer it or they never introduce it when they're young. Like I loved building shit when I was a kid. I actually, it was my favorite thing was building houses and building forts. Like I one of the things that I love best about history is watching when they talk about the masonry work, like how they use their hands to measure the distance and stuff, or how they would make sand blocks. It's not that women aren't interested in it. It's like I said, a lot of times it has to do with the introduction to it, and it really takes a specific teacher. Oftentimes it's daddy. Sometimes daddy introduces you to his car. You know,
I will backtrack something I said.
Mhm.
Women don't want to be CEOs. They want the title of CEO and the money that goes with it, but none of the stress or responsibility.
Yes. And that bothers me. I don't encourage that job for everyone, regardless of what sex you are.
Yeah, oh no, I could never be a CEO. It's brutal.
But if you're really calling it like you want you want women to go out and do whatever they want, they never bring that kind of stuff up because they don't care about it. Yeah. It's not fashionable. It's not glorious. It's not the guy in the business suit. It's not the guy in charge of the planet.
I have a little photograph on my phone in my photos section, just to remind me of this argument, and it is just a couple of words and a JPEG. It says, "Feminists want the power of men, the privileges of women, and the responsibilities of neither."
Yeah, exactly.
I keep that on my phone. It's been on there since I can't remember when. It's one of my oldest things I've ever had on my phone.
I forget who said that, but yeah, I've seen that come up quite a few times.
Yeah.
Usually in the comment section of Better Bachelor videos.
Did you guys want to hit toxic foods, or did you want to just get the hell out of here tonight? It's 10:26. I just want to make sure we don't lose Jen.
Depends on Jen. She's the one who's got to get up in the morning.
I think we lost her already. She sound asleep.
No, I just muted my brothers in the room.
Oh, okay. No worries.
Okay. Well, I'm fine with either. I don't.
Are you okay,
really...
Jen? She's got her brother in the room, so she's muting. Yeah. She says she's good to go, so we can touch on it for a moment. I don't want to get too much into it because it's kind of an all about me kind of thing, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I told my story at the beginning about my dad wanting food smuggled into the hospital, even though it was completely unnecessary. There's nothing I'm allergic to, so I don't really have much to say.
Yeah, I'm allergic to a lot of things. That's why it became a topic for me. Because I made my mom the birthday cake. You saw the picture of my birthday cake. I didn't do a very good job, but I mean, how tough really is it to make a cake? You have a mix, some eggs, a little bit of oil, some water, mix it all up, put it in the oven, you're done. There's not like that much to it. There's a couple little things I've learned about it. I don't want to turn this into a foodie channel or anything like that, but when you're baking a cake and you're going to make like a 2-layer cake, when you bake a cake, the cake crowns. I know that sounds very delivering a baby kind of thing, but obviously the cake in the center is higher, and it kind of slopes off to the edges, and both layers do that because you're cooking them independently of each other. Same oven, same temperature, but in 2 different pans. And I found over my many years of baking cakes on a regular basis, which I never do, that taking the one layer and putting it on top of another layer, you have that crowning of the bottom layer. When you put the top layer on, causes the top layer to crown as well, because it has to cover the distance of the difference in height. So the top layer crowns too, and it's already crowned. So what happens is the center of the cake splits open.
Ooh,
so if you're trying to put icing on, pretty soon pieces of cake are coming off. If you've made it moist enough, it's kind of fragile at that point. So what I found is, if you take something like a vegetable spray, I don't want to use Pam by name, but a vegetable spray, and you spray it on tin foil, then on the lower level piece of cake, you put that face down so the tin foil won't stick. And then you take the upper layer while it's still in the pan. They're both still in the pan. You put the upper layer on top of the lower layer. You don't really crush the bottom layer, but you do make the crowning go away, so that the bottom layer is now flat on the bottom and the top. You don't squish it. It's still 1.5 inches high. You don't change the height, except for in the center. And while it's nice and warm, it can handle that. You won't ruin you end up with a flat piece. So when you do actually have to put one layer on top of the other layer, that crowning problem doesn't exist anymore because the bottom layer is flat. It's nice. It's a nice foundation to put the top layer on. So apparently not a lot of people knew about this. I thought, oh, this is cute. Maybe I'll tell everybody about this, and you know, but nobody said. But everyone was like, I never even thought of that. I was like, that's seems pretty obvious to me. But anyway, so I made my mom's favorite cake, yellow cake with chocolate icing. That's her favorite. I'm personally a yellow or white cake with a white icing of some kind, because I'm, you know, a white nationalist. You know, everything has to be white for me. But I just like vanilla better than I like chocolate. That's just the way it is. Not only that, but a true chocolate bar will make me sick. If I eat a chocolate bar like a Nestle's bar or something like that, I will get ill from it. My body doesn't like chocolate. And that's kind of why this whole came up, because I made this cake, but I can't eat it because it's obviously cake. There's nothing but wheat all over that.
Of course.
So that's out. And then the chocolate doesn't have sugar in it. It has high fructose corn syrup, a false sugar. I can't have that either. And it's chocolate. I can't have that either. So having a slice of cake, I mean, if I have a slice of cake where the edge is maybe an inch wide, like a really thin slice, and then I ate something else along with it, my body would tolerate it, but I wouldn't feel good for hours. I just would feel, my stomach would be upset. It wouldn't stop me from doing anything. I could still concentrate. I could still play a video game or do something like that and be fine. But my body would not be happy. But if I had nothing else that day and decided to have a good 3 or 4 inch wide slice of cake, I would at some point throw up a portion of it, and the rest of it would pass right through me immediately. My body would reject having it in my system at all. Whatever it had to do to get rid of it, it would. And that sucks. I got to imagine I'm not the only person who has, it's not really a food allergy, but it's an allergic response to some extent. But it's celiac disease and diabetes that have gotten together to cause this problem.
Tag team.
And there's just nothing I can really do about it. Do you have anything that your body will just say absolutely, that everyone else can eat, that your body will say no, absolutely not, can't do it?
No. I did think for a while that I was allergic to seafood, but it turns out that was an allergic reaction to the dust storm that had been happening that day. And it's just that the symptoms happened to flare up after I'd eaten a plate of prawns. The prawns didn't actually cause it, and it's just misidentifying what did.
Yeah.
But once I found out I'm not actually allergic to seafood, no, everything is fine for me to eat. There's nothing that causes me any particular trouble. I'm pretty lucky in that regard.
Is Jen back? Jen, you around?
Oh, I'm still here, but he's in the room, so he's
okay. Is there anything that causes you to just absolutely reject? You can't have it in your body. It will just get rid of it.
Well, I don't drink it, but I can't stand the smell of mouthwash because I used to work at a place downtown, and I realized right away that somebody drank it, and I ran to the back to vomit. I didn't even drink it. It was just the smell of it on his breath, and I was like, nope.
Wow. But that's not a response to the ingestion. You're just responding just to the smell of it. Wow. That's crazy town. All right. Well, it's like, go ahead.
I think it's just everything that's in mouthwash ran through my brain. And I was like, there's been no point in my life where I had that shit in my mouth where I thought it was a good idea to swallow it because it doesn't taste natural.
No, of course not. So. I think that's actually on purpose because they don't want you to swallow it. Yeah. So they make it taste bad so that you're less likely to.
Yeah, oddly, I have no problem with toothpaste. I can swallow it; doesn't bother me at all. But yeah, it's just foods for me. It's really weird that the things that are designed to keep you alive are the things I can't touch in some cases. So that's really weird. So, all right, it's past 10:30. Oh my God, it's past 10:30.
Yeah,
we need to get out of here.
Alrighty.
You guys don't have anything else, do you?
Nope.
No.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get out in that case.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye, Jen's out already. I haven't got a chance to read the outro yet. Thanks to everybody in chat for hanging out tonight. I'm glad to see so many people. Make sure you spread the word out that the Wednesday show is the best show on the planet. So get out there and tell everybody to stop by and talk to us, because we love having you guys here. If you're looking for more of the zoo, our Discord is linked in the description down below. We are live every evening with most shows starting around 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Quizzes on Monday, Skeps on Tuesday. The Wednesday show, of course, starts at 9 o'clock. Johnny Hellcat's on tomorrow, then Sanguine on Friday, Harry on Saturday, and at least for now, Delahazed on Sundays. More to come about that, because there's changes in the future. We will be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night, everyone.
Have a good weekend, guys. Bloodwing is back.